Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unraveling the neurodivergent experience.
Hello. Welcome everyone. And hello, Scotty. How are you this week?
Hello. I am still living out of boxes because solicitors are the bane of my existence. But
they are the worst. Every single one equally.
So this is the nice thing, listeners. Because we record a lot of these episodes a week in advance, there is always the opportunity that I may have moved. So keep your eye out, keep your ear out, and I'll let you know. But no, I had a call from my agent the other day who said, in the 8 years that I have been selling homes, this is the most difficult and awful sale I have ever dealt with.
Oh, dude.
And I was like, goody. You know, what a way to start the world of buying your first home. I ain't ever freaking doing this again.
No.
Honestly, I have gone grey. I got a UTI. I had a cold. It's been great. My whole body's just falling apart under the stress. It's wonderful. But I'm okay now. I've got antibiotics. I'm drugged up to the tits. So it's all good. I'm just like, oh, do you know what? Adult life. You know, for a neurodivergent guy, I have a lot going on, and I feel like I navigate and deal with things well. It's all the neurotypicals that I'm struggling to navigate with. It's just how like they do things and they talk about things. I'm like, come on, let's get on with it. And everyone's like, so what you're trying to say is that you're no, that's not what I'm trying to say. Just give me my house, please. So yeah, that's my life at the moment. How are things with you, my friend?
They're good. I was balancing my mental health a little bit more carefully due to back pains and things. But, you know, this is a moment I'm particularly proud of, is that the other day I was making a coffee. It was a little bit full to the brim and it spilt. I touched it on something that I wasn't expecting and it spilt. And Sylvia's looking at me like, oh God.
Literally the metaphor of a meltdown. Just
ready for the rest of it to go into the sink going, well, I don't want that. Just ready for that meltdown. I was like, oh, I spilled my coffee. Oh, well. And I just got a cloth and I cleaned it up and then I drank the rest of it, which is almost a full cup anyway. And I was like, that even I was surprised by my reaction. Like that's the point. I'm not, and she's like, yeah, you really have changed. And I was like, yeah, I really have. And then later on that evening, I got annoyed with the lacquer that I was trying to put on one of my gammy toenails and it wasn't coming out properly. And I threw the little bottle across the room.
Hey, it happened.
And I was like, I was doing it so well. And then as soon as I threw it, I was like, oh. And then I got up and I picked it up and I put it all back together. And then I carried on, you know, applying it to my toenail. So it was one of those little snaps, but it's an inevitability that they are going to happen every now and again. But it's more of the fact that as long as they don't happen over and over and over and over again for every little thing, I think that is a big sign of my mental health massively improving.
Absolutely.
But that is not the subject today.
No.
The subject today is leaving home, university, living independently for the first time, and fears of the future. And for this topic, as I have never been to uni, despite my amazing success.
Your many accolades.
I never went to uni. I never had the uni experience. I never did that. When living independently for me was getting kicked out at 17. And then I was married with a mortgage and a child when I was like 19, 20 years old.
You got like the Disney fast pass of adult life there, didn't you?
Yeah. When we did the game of life, I literally skipped the uni bit and went straight into life. Yeah. But so we're joined by Chris Ash, who is the boyfriend of my beautiful daughter Sophie, and future possible son-in-law. I've got to say possible, otherwise I get told off. Future possible son-in-law. And it basically he's just the most wonderful kid ever, and we love him to bits.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Chris. Do I say hi, Chris?
Hello, everyone.
No, you missed it. You meant to say hi, Chris.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. Oh, God. I'm excited to talk about this because when I left home at 19. I had a gap year because I was like, oh, what do I want to do? And at that time in my life, I was heavily into acting. And I thought, right, let's go to drama school because, you're awesome. And obviously you'll get in. And I didn't get in. Just because that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles. And a lot of the time people go, have another go the year after. And I didn't want to wait. So I knee-jerked. I went to the University of Greenwich which was sort of a drama school sort of thing, and did a theatre and English degree. And that was in London. So leaving a little pit village in Doncaster to then go to London was a unbelievable culture shock. And I didn't actually acknowledge until a lot later in life how much it affected my life. So I'm interested, Chris, where are you from originally and how are you finding leaving home?
So I grew up in Lancashire.
Oh no, it's another northerner.
Hey.
in Harwich, and then we moved to Chorley. And yeah, so I spent most of my teen years wanting to be a lawyer. So I studied a lot of time for that, to become that, to get into like Exeter Law School. But the whole time that was never really what I was interested in. And then it came to the end of college, COVID happened and everything. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And then it was just everyone was like, don't move so far away from home. Don't move to the other side of the country. That's crazy. Why would you do that? And then my dad was like, no, you should do that. You should do that. It's going to be good for you. And I was like, okay. So I did. And then, all of a sudden I was packing a car to drive to the other side of the country.
Now, just to be clear, though, you're diagnosed autistic.
Yeah.
And that was when you were pretty young, right?
Yeah. I think I was around 7. It was the whole diagnosis thing was a bit all over the place. Originally, I was diagnosed with what's called PDD, which is what they called. It's like a placeholder for autism kind of thing that they had back then.
It's like, we don't know what it is, so we'll say it's that.
Yeah. So the diagnosis in PDD, which is persuasive development disorder, did loads of I had loads of different types of therapies and stuff and loads of support. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. And then, the whole story from that was crazy. There was 2 other neurodivergent kids in the same class as me. And we were all very, very, I don't like to use this word, but we came across quite disruptive. We did lots of very bad things. We even, this is completely true. We actually dug a tunnel out of school.
I've tried to escape school before.
The great autistic escape.
The great autistic escape. That's brilliant.
We dug a tunnel out of school. We hid in the bathroom of a pub nearby.
We've all done that.
And destroyed it. And we stole someone's beer. And that was kind of the breaking point where they're like, right, something has to happen. It's like a weird separation story. One of us got sent to a special educational needs school. One of them stayed in the same year, and I got moved down here.
Oh,
wow!
But getting moved down here, I think, was the best thing that happened to me the whole time I was at school.
Okay.
Because then I did flourish for a few years. When I was around year 5, I became very, very sick, and they found out that I needed to have a brain surgery because I had a condition called Chiari malformation, which is where I think at the back of the head, cerebrum, I don't know. It grew into my spinal cord.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I had to have like a big chunk here taken out, which is obviously very intense for me, as it would be for anyone. But that definitely changed things. And I got to year 6, and that had the surgery. And then the whole of year 6 was just intense. They told me that I wasn't allowed to do my SATs and stuff. And these, because of my surgery and because of being neurodivergent and everything. But then it got to a week before it, and I was like, no, I want to do it. I still want to do this. And then I did it. I did really well.
Oh, brilliant.
Then high school came around, and that was also just kind of chaos, just up and down, as it is. And then that was just the same for years and years. And then that took me to going to uni. Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there.
So obviously you've had a really complex school life, but at that time, you were around your family and you had support. So, leaving home must have, it's a huge decision for you, really leaving away from your support network, from people that, you can fall back on, your comforts. That was something that I didn't really acknowledge until it was like 5 weeks into university. And I was like, oh shit, I'm on my own here. I've got to just do this myself now.
Yeah. See, I didn't realize that until like second year. So like way in second year. And I was like, oh wow, I'm really on my own here. As soon as you move out of hall, as soon as you move out of halls and you're not surrounded by people all the time, it's just like you're in a small house with 4 people instead of, well, in our block we had I think we had about 40 people, and you get to know everyone and you're surrounded by people all the time. So it's very difficult to feel alone, for me anyway, because I was constantly surrounded by people,
that makes sense. So when you you went to the University of Exeter, so you were doing law. What is it that you're doing now? Because you're not doing the same course as you started, are you?
I'm doing business and environment now.
Right. So you were saying off air to me, how you've wanted to change with your course and the things that you wanted. Now, from my experience of when I first went to university, I kind of had like this idea of, I don't know whether it's quite an autistic trait or whatever, but I had like a 5-year plan. And I was like, this is what's happening. I cannot deviate away from this plan. And within the first 6 months of being at university, I mean, I had an unusual group of people that I was put in halls with. I had somebody who was on my course, and then I had a variety of other people. And I look back on it now, we were all neurodivergent, and none of us knew that we were. And I found it really difficult to navigate with certain people because I liked my room the way that it was. I didn't like people messing with my stuff. And I've always been somebody that really struggled with sleep. And I basically ended up living with insomniacs who just stayed up until 5, 6 in the morning playing video games. And I found I actually couldn't go to sleep because I felt like I was just getting constant FOMO all the time. And it completely just messed with my entire rhythm and my lifestyle. And I felt like my personality was changing a lot. Did you find when you started to like delve into university, you were really masking a lot? Or did you feel like you just kind of like felt really yourself through getting into freshers and things like that?
No, I feel like I masked very heavily. I masked and definitely kind of like mirrored everyone around me completely. And it was very, 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 very chaotic, very impulsive. I was constantly just looking for a thrill, really, just to go, just to get kind of loopy. I was just trying to do what I thought was the right thing to do at the time, and it definitely wasn't the right thing to do. Looking back,
no, I mean that desperation to fit in, isn't it? It's just like that deliberate masking in order to blend in with everybody else.
Exactly,
because as much as we like being on our own, a lot of the times, and that's kind of the stereotype, we do like company, we do like other people, but you kind of chose the wrong people, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I think individually, I had friends within the group who I thought were just awesome. We got on so well, we had loads of fun together. But I think you kind of like when I was in like group settings and stuff, I would definitely I'd try and fit in with too many people at the same time. I find it very easy to like adapt to someone if it's one-on-one. Like a very for a neurodivergent person, I'm actually really good at reading people. That's kind of how I've got by, is by reading body language, reading facial expressions. Like I've learned to do that. So when I'm in a big group and there's loads of other things going on, and there's too much to read. Then I think it's like I end up I can end up acting out, I think, definitely.
I was definitely that way. I found, like when I went to university, I went in September of 2013. And a lot of like my special interests were all evolved around like music and bands and things like that. And the two guys that I ended up living with and became good friends with for a short period of time were huge nerds. They were like really into Batman. They were really into like League of Legends and Assassin's Creed. And at the time, because I'd been such a highly masked person, a lot of the things that these guys liked, I liked. But I hadn't really learned how to communicate how I liked it without feeling insecure. So a lot of the time, I just felt like I was like on the back foot with stuff. And then things that I was interested in, people weren't necessarily interested in. So I felt like I suddenly started to really change what I liked, more about what was in front of me. And I started to like watch a lot of Doctor Who and a lot of Batman comics and things like that. And they weren't necessarily things that I was interested in, but I just was really keen on having friends. It's like when I went to university, I was like, right, the people that I live with are going to be my friends for life. These are the people that I'm going to know forever. And it's like, these are my uni friends. These are the people I've known for years and years and years. And I almost like tricked myself into forcing deep relationships on these people. I was like, right, these two people are the first two people in front of me. These are going to be my best friends at university. And I totally picked the wrong people to cling to for my first year of uni. They were not right for me at all. And it led me to do stuff like you were saying, like acting up. I was staying up drinking. I was smoking a lot of pot. And that's just sort of where I found myself, not necessarily because it was where I wanted to be. It was because where I was placed in halls and who I was put with. Did you sort of find yourself doing that? Did you feel like you were just trying to be a chameleon with whoever you were just put with?
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of lucky. I feel like I had two. I feel like I had two lives while I was at uni because I've obviously live on my campuses because I'm on the Penryn campus, which is in Cornwall. I was very lucky in the respect that the things that I love were also there. So I could very easily, it took me. It's always been 10 minutes, and I'm on the beach, and I can be in the reef by Gilly, where there's like I can go rock pooling, and there's loads of awesome birds, and it's super easy for me to escape. And luckily, I've had friends around me who are also into that, so I've ended up living with those instead of living with the people who I was like partying with more. So I've been very lucky in that respect that I've had the best of both worlds. But yeah, no, definitely. I think I still went to some extreme levels to fit in. Like I think maybe in terms of like music and stuff like that, especially. I never really enjoyed drinking that much, but I also did that because everyone else was doing it, and I wanted to like fit in.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself in some rather difficult situations with people that I was living with because I lived in the party house. I lived in the house that people went to for the parties. So I felt like I was just constantly overstimulated. It's like if I was trying to go to bed, it was boom, 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 boom all the time. And I would go downstairs at 4 a.m. and people would just be doing cocaine on the kitchen table. I was like, I've got a lecture at 9 a.m. the next day. And I was finding it was easier to do that than do the lectures because I was so tired all the time and it was difficult. One of the things that I struggled with moving to university and especially leaving home was feeding myself properly. I was not good at having stable meals. I lived on meal deals like 3 times a day when I was at uni. Is that something that you found you struggled with?
At times, definitely. I mean, I've always been a foodie. Right? I've always loved my food. And I feel like I do enjoy cooking, but there was definitely periods of time where I was eating the weirdest stuff. Like everyone takes the mick out of it now because it was quite funny. But sometimes for lunch, I'd literally just get 2 pieces of bread, a load of like Frank's hot sauce. Just go ahead all over the middle and just have a Frank's hot sauce sandwich. That was a common thing that I'd do. Hot noodle wraps. There's just loads of little things like that. People would be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. It's tasty." But at the same time, I'd also make some really good meals, and I had a balance. But sometimes I'd just be feeling a bit lazier.
Yeah, do you know, I remember there was one time, there used to be this YouTube channel that was called Epic Mealtime. I don't know if you ever remember this. If listeners, if you do, let me know. But it basically just used to be people that used to like go to McDonald's and buy 10 burgers and then go to Domino's and buy a pizza and just like turn it into something. And one of the guys that I used to live with got obsessed with doing it, where he'd like, rather than just having a meal, he'd go, right, I don't want to go to the supermarket and just buy something. I'm going to go to Domino's and spend £100 and then eat that over the next 4 days. And he always used to be unwell, and we'd be like, it's probably because you're giving yourself food poisoning twice a week. And he was adamant that he wasn't doing it. And these were the sorts of environments that I sort of seemed to find myself in. And living in London as well, it's the wild, wild west down there. Like everything's just unusual. And the sort of people that like crisscross you all of the time. Yeah, university life is crazy, especially if you're neurodivergent. And I was undiagnosed. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, I struggle with sleep, and now I'm waking up at 4 p.m. every day.
Yeah.
It's hard to navigate.
I think that was one thing that was good, obviously useful for me being diagnosed, is that I always had it in the back of my mind. I was like, you're not going to like that. Like, obviously, when it came to deciding who I wanted to live with, I decided to live with two girls in my flat that I just, you know, we had like an awesome relationship. Every time I hang out with them, I felt like I was really being myself, you know, and it felt just amazing. And so I said, like, I want to live with you guys, and we got a little group of people from the flat. And over time, it just dwindled down, so it was just us three, and then this other guy from the group, from the other group that I'd hang out with sometimes. And it was us that all lived together, because I just knew that if I tried to live with a house that was more hectic, I would just, it would not work for me. I didn't get in frustrated, or it just, you know, I need sleep, I need to shower, I need nice food, I need even if I don't have a routine, I need stuff around me that I can create a routine with. And luckily, I knew that because you know, I understand that I'm neurodivergent, and you know, at the time, I didn't have the best relationship with being neurodivergent at all. You know, it felt very disabling back then, which it doesn't now. It's a massive, massive, massive help, and I think for anyone going into university, if you are diagnosed, or if you think that you are autistic or you're ADHD, then, or if you think you're particularly sensitive to these kind of elements, then really listen to your body and listen to your mind, because it doesn't lie, you know, and yeah, because otherwise you can get yourself in a bad situation. I know a lot of people who, looking back, are neurodivergent, and they fell into the trap of thinking that they needed to live in like a hectic environment and, you know, live into the uni lifestyle, and most of them dropped out.
Yeah, as you're saying that, there's a little part of me that's going, yeah, and I nearly dropped out. There was during my second year, I tried to change course, and I had a lecturer that talked me down from it. A lot of the reason as to why that was is because I was living in this really crazy, hectic house where it was fast food, you know, fast women, everything that could have been crazy was crazy. It was the party house on the street that all the students lived on, and my entire routine, my entire life was just a mess. It's like I had no structure. I had no balance with my diet, with my sleep, with anything. And I felt completely out of control. And I ended up actually having to leave that house. I just, about 9 months in, I just went, boys, I can't do this anymore. It's killing me. I actually feel like I'm dying. And if I don't leave, I'm gonna drop out of uni, and I don't want to do that. And unfortunately, because of the one particular person that I lived with, he made that all about him. And one of the unfortunate things about that is he was also on the same course as me. And after I moved out of that house, I then had the Christmas break in my beginning of my second year, went home to this house that I'd moved in, and I moved in with a handful of girls and one other guy. And it was so like peaceful. I was like, oh, it actually doesn't smell like shit everywhere. And, you know, things are tidy, and there's not just one fork that I'm using all of the time. Yeah, it was difficult because when I then went back to the course, this guy had gone around and told everybody that I was a horrible person, and that the reason I'd moved out is because he'd kicked me out. And these were the reasons why. And I was completely ostracized from everybody that I was friends with for the majority of my second year, and basically was just on my own. So I went from living in this really hectic mental environment where it was like party, 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 drugs, drugs, drugs. Like I was so dumb. I was so dumb. Just so drank the Kool-Aid of this is what university is like. Like I grew up watching Skins. So it was like, this is what it's like, crack on. And I went too far with it and I did myself some damage. And then the juxtaposition of suddenly going into a really quiet environment where none of my friends were talking to me, I basically felt like I was starting again. And it was awful. I hated it. I really didn't like life at the time. And that so shows the difference between going into uni, knowing your ND and not knowing your ND. It's like you say, recognizing the signs, looking after yourself. I saw the signs and just ignored them, and it did me some real damage for a few years. It's interesting how all of this sort of the disruption of life and having everything at your fingertips can really lead you into an interesting place, especially when you don't know that you're neurodivergent. It's like those rules of what works for you if you don't know the chaos and mess that it can cause. But obviously university is almost like the gateway into your future. So when we come back after the break, we're going to discuss, trying to figure out what you want to do with life in such a chaotic environment.
This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults, with prices starting at £900. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment.
And welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. And we are talking about our future. Well, Chris's future and your future. As we've discussed earlier, my future is significantly different, having never gone to uni and just starting my life at 19. But I don't doubt that it's any scarier. Like, for me, it was a big deal. I had to go and get a job, and I had to look after my new family, my wife, my kid, and then it, but I just kind of took up that mantle because I didn't have a safety net. Like I had to do it. I don't really pander to the whole, I can't go to work today because I have anxiety. Tough shit, work is how you get money. And, but I will admit, I completely empathize with the idea, even when they have a safety net, which, my daughter does and Chris does, and you did, because you have your parents that were supportive. I never had that you're still scared. It's still a scary experience because you're like, okay, well, now I actually have to grow up. Now I actually have to be responsible. And like I said, with me, I never really had that thought because it just happened. It was like, well, I am responsible now, rather than, oh my God, what happens when I am? I never thought about that. So it just happened. But I'd imagine the anxiety of that looming inevitability is crippling at times.
Do you know what, my friend? You have made a really good point there, because when the end of my dissertation felt like, right, once that's done, you're on your own, kid. There is no rules. There's no structure. There's no promise of a job at the end of this. It's all on you. And that scared the living shit out of me, because all the way through uni, I was like, this isn't what I expected. And You know, when you're a kid, you kind of go like, I'm going to be an actor. Great. Okay. Right. How'd you go about doing that then? And when you go to theatre clubs on a Saturday and your mum drops you off, it's easy. When you've got to drag yourself to an audition, when you've been up all night writing something, it's hard. And I had, after my third year, I had a huge nervous breakdown that led to me really not wanting to be here, because I felt like I'd failed because I couldn't adult. I felt like I could not go into the adult world. I wasn't ready. And I ended up doing a master's degree, which felt like it saved my life, really, because it made me figure out what I want to do. But at the time, I was just like, I can't do this. I can't go out into the world. And like, how can I go from working a pub job 2 days a week and studying 5 days a week to suddenly just going out into the adult world and paying rent and being able to afford to live and not get yourself in absolutely crippling amounts of debt? Have you found that with your experience at uni, Chris? Do you feel like, you know, once third year comes, it's a bit like, oh shit, this is getting real now?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the scary things for me is because I've changed my mind so much about the future while I've been at uni. Like, it changes every couple of months. At least that's the way it feels. Now I'm pretty set on what I want. But at this point, I'm like, oh, what if I change my mind again? What if this changes? What if that changes? Because I think about how much things have changed over the last year and a half. I'm like, I can't even imagine where it could possibly go. I mean, luckily, me and Sophie are going to save to go traveling. So we're going to go do that for a few months and volunteer and, you know, get a bit of experience, see a part of the world we're not seeing, etc. And I feel like that temporarily will just put off the inevitable a little bit more. But obviously that's still going to require like 6 months of working. But, you know, obviously we're not looking for a career right now. You know, we're just looking for, you know, full-time work just anywhere we can.
Yeah, if anyone's got any.
Yeah,
exactly.
The West Sussex / where are you going to be living?
I'm going to be living with my dad near Solihull.
There you go. Anyone near his dad in Solihull?
Yeah, because, you know, one of the things that, like, I look back on my university life, and it feels like that with school. It's like, I remember having a bit of a joke with my mum where she was like, oh, if you get a tattoo, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. And I'm like, hold on, you've been telling me I've got to pick a degree that I've now got to decide what I want to do for the next 50 years for the rest of my life. And I've been here 3 weeks and I've changed my mind twice. Like, how am I supposed to sort of really navigate with that? Because when I went to uni, I wanted to be an actor, and then I wanted to be a radio presenter, and then I became a producer. Then I wanted to be a sound designer. Then I wanted to be a theatre sound designer. Then I wanted to be an actor that does theatre sound design. And it was just like, I can't figure out who I want to be right now. And I just felt a complete and utter mess. I felt like I had no sort of direction. I'm an end in mind thinker. You know, I'm a bottom up processor. And I was just going in and I was like, I can't navigate all of these thoughts. I can't build a plan or have stepping stones because every 5 minutes it changes. It was so difficult to navigate.
I think this might help anyone listening who's going through what you went through or what Chris and Sophie and all the other uni leavers are thinking. Get a fucking grip, I guess, in the nicest way, because yeah, absolutely, future is scary, but at least you have choices. I always had that mentality of, well, I want to be independent. So when it came to being independent, it wasn't a far stretch from, oh, I have to live by myself and do it. So at 17 years old, neurodivergent, basically the age of a 12-year-old in my brain, I just had to get on with it. And I didn't have the choice. Like, you guys go, oh, I've changed my mind this many times. I didn't want to do what I ended up doing.
I don't think that's a good thing. I think having too much choice was a bad thing.
Yeah, but at least, I 100% agree. And I'm not going to have an argument and say, you're wrong and I'm right, because everybody's different and everybody experiences, and one person's trauma is another person's bad day. I'm not going to argue that. What I'm saying is, in the nicest way, get a fucking grip, rather than like having a go at you, get a fucking grip, is if it worked out well for me when I had like zero opportunities, zero choices, I know that it's going to work out well for you. That was the nicer way of saying it. Like,
no. And I so hear what you're saying.
That you guys don't need to worry about it as much as you think you do, or as much as it catastrophizes in the head of especially a neurodivergent person. We tend to over catastrophize everything. That if you just take a beat and go, okay, there's people who have had nothing, no backup, and they have managed to drag themselves out of the worst situations. I'll be okay. Chris, you will be more than okay because you are a hard worker. You have a really good mindset. You've been working your way, earning money while you're at uni. You've been doing the crappiest jobs and been, so you know what it's like to go and work.
Yeah.
And you will find your future. It will come to you. That's because that's what happened with me. You know, I didn't have to go looking for my future. My future just happens. It just sneaks up on you. And all of a sudden you're like, what bloody, how the hell did I get here? And the only thing you need is drive and a positive attitude. If you want to sit back and wait for everything to happen, nothing's going to freaking happen.
Yeah,
and if it does, lucky you. Lottery winner, you know, good luck. But if you want to achieve, and if you want the things that I've got, you know, my own house that I own, a car, a managerial position in a really big company, you know, married, 2 successful kids, both going for you. If you want to do what I've done, and by the way, like I said, I had zero help apart from me and Sylvia, 2 young neurodivergent kids getting married and just doing it. We had drive. We knew that we had to do it. Otherwise, we are screwed. So that's what you need to succeed. And I guarantee you that as long as you have drive, as long as you have ambition, as long as you have that willingness to work hard, your future will come to you.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Got there in the end.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's the thing is, like, at the time, because what you were saying there is like, you know, just get a grip. That is actually the thing that made me feel worse because I didn't feel like I could. It's like, because at the time I had like, my body clock was messed up. I was in a really nasty relationship. I was miles away from home. I was in a highly overstimulated city, cutthroat, brutal city.
Oh yeah, no, I hate London.
Like all of these sorts of things, like all of this sort of environment of where I was at. And because I was undiagnosed ND, I was saying to myself, get a grip, but I couldn't. I was like, why can't I get a grip? Everyone else can seem to do it. Why can't I do it? And then the thought that crept in was, your future ain't going to come to you because you ain't got one. That was like the tailspin. That's where everything went absolutely tits up for me, where I nearly ended my life because I was like, I don't see one, because I felt like I'd had support. I'd had all these opportunities and I'd blown them. That's sort of where my mindset was, just because I kind of left uni and I was like, fuck, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's not a sense of like going, oh, come on, get on with it. It was that I had a job and I was working hard and I had a job that I loved in an environment, in a career that I wanted. But I just felt so burnt out and miserable and really mentally turning in on myself that I just didn't see that I sort of had a future. And I kind of look back on it now and I almost wonder whether uni was the right environment for me. I mean, have you experienced that, Chris? Have you had moments where you've gone, I don't think uni's for me. I think I'm just going to go into the working world and have a go?
Definitely. But at the same time, I saw being at uni, because in my mind, I've had some really difficult moments while I've been at uni, definitely. But the thing that always comes back to me is, you're not working yet. You're at uni. You're never going to be this free again. You're never going to have this much freedom. And that's what my dad always used to say. He was like, Chris, just make the most of it, because in a few years' time, you're going to be working and you're going to have a job and you're going to be busy. You're going to be a busy person. So just make the most of this now. And that's the thought I always come back to. I don't want to be here. I want to drop out. I want to go get a job. I want to go to the working world. And I'm like, no, you're at uni. Just chill out for now. Just try and relax. Like, it's good to think about your future, and it's good to think about jobs and stuff like that, but you shouldn't. I've tried not to obsess over it. I have lots of times, and I've come to all these different conclusions. Like I went through this whole period last year where I was really, really, really obsessed with joining the military, and I'd never get in. I knew I wasn't going to get in because one, because I'm neurodivergent, two, because I've had a brain surgery, right? But that I was still obsessed with it, and then after that, I was like, oh well, I'll do the fibre grade, and I nearly dropped out to do that. And I was like, no, don't do that. Just stick with it for a bit longer. And now comes the end of it, and I'm like, oh right, well, yeah, the world is my oyster.
Mm.
And like you were saying, it's about having drive. It's about just waiting for it's about waiting for opportunities, looking for opportunities, and I have faith that things will fall into place. You know?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, what you and Sophie have, because not everyone has this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
What you and Sophie have is supportive parents.
Yeah, definitely.
So there'll be a lot of kids at uni that don't have that structure, that don't have that supportive structure at home, and they literally, like, their fear. I'm not saying that anyone's fear isn't justified. I think I've covered that with the get a fucking grip, but I literally don't mean get a fucking grip. I mean, you can do it. It is easier when you have that structure. And I'll give you an example of my son, right? So my son, he did most of he lived at home because he went to uni in London, which is about an hour train journey. But then COVID hit, so they closed the uni. So he was online learning. Essentially, he did an online degree from his uni because of COVID.
Full whack for it, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but paid the full whack for it.
Messed up that.
But he got a 2-1 in economics. He absolutely killed it. He was so good. I was so proud of him. But then it's not like, oh, he's coming back home. He already was home. He never left his bedroom. We had lockdowns. He literally didn't leave his house. And then he went out and he went and got a job. And it took him a while. In fact, some people told me he actually got it really, really quickly. I felt like it was taking a while. But again, I'm of a different era. You know, I've been working for over 25 years. But he just went and got a job in about 2-3 months after. But, you know, it didn't work out. And I said to him, look, I don't want you to settle. I don't want you to push yourself at a job that's going to make you miserable, and it's not the direction you want to go in. Because the job he got, he thought that's what he wanted, and then once he started doing it, he realized that is not what I want to do. And I said, well, you're in this position where you don't have to do that job, because I'm not going to abandon you. I'm not going to kick you out. I will be here. So, because I know that he has that drive. So I didn't have to fear, oh, he's going to quit this job and then sit around playing video games all day and not go and get another one. I knew that if he quit that job, he would immediately start looking for another one, and it would be one that and I said, you can do that over and over again for the next couple of years until you find the direction you want to go in, because I never had that opportunity and I bloody wish I had. So as a parent, my job is to give him the opportunities that I didn't have. And if that means that he wants to try out different jobs, and and by the way, he pays rent as well. Like he didn't have to pay rent when he didn't have a job. And, you know, so he is learning that responsibility, learning that life, even though he's still living at home.
I think that's great.
But he is now putting money aside with his girlfriend to buy a house. Like, they have a plan. They know exactly what they're going to do. They know how much they need. And she's working, and she has the support of her parents. So they're in a position where they have that drive, but they also have that support. You know, if you're out there and you're a parent, that's what you need to do. If you start throwing them in the deep end, they're literally just going to drown. Your kids are going to drown. You're supposed to be there to teach them how to swim, provide a life raft if they need it. But, you know, don't let them, get out of the pool. That's what you got to do.
I feel like what happened with me is my parents gave me all of the tools, and rather than me get in the pool, I got in the sea, and then the tide took me too far for me.
Yeah, that's a good
I wasn't a strong enough swimmer for the waters I was putting myself in. And that was the thing with me, is I always pushed myself to breaking point. I was like, if you're not first, you're last. And I just pushed myself beyond my means. And then it was that sort of self-doubt. Because I had friends that finished university and went home and went from having university for 3 years and having this freedom to suddenly going, I can't stay here. I have to go home. And they ended up moving back to their parents. And some of the mental health dips that some of my friends had when they left university and had to move back in with their mum, they were like, well, that was just a one big fucking waste of time, because I'm not going to be able to do anything with that degree. And I really saw a lot of my friends suffer with that. And they seem to have gotten okay with it, as life goes on. But so I look at the universities, because I went to 2, because I did a master's degree. I look at the different environments that I went to. I so thrived in a master's degree because I was at the right university for me. Whereas before, I was so scared of being stuck at home, I just went. I didn't really think it through. Whereas I think, Chris, what you're saying with how you've picked a university where you can go to the beach and there's things that sort of suit your environment. I think, listening to all three of us, we've got quite a nice dynamic here. We've got somebody who's not gone to university, went straight into the working world. We've got somebody who went to the wrong university and without knowing they were ND, and you've got somebody who went to university knowing they're ND. So we've got a bit of everything here, which I think is a nice. We've got the full game of life trying to go here. So it's nice to hear these different perspectives, because my dad had an apprenticeship. He left school when he was 15, went straight into an apprenticeship. And there were times I would ring him up about uni and I'd be like, oh, Father, I have so many choices. It's like, I wish I had that many fucking choices. So now it's going to work.
So it ain't just me then.
Yeah, exactly. So
your dad and me, just old school.
That's what I mean. He was just like, I wish I had choices. He was like, look, son, as long as you do something that you love, you won't work a day in your life. And that is one of the things that I have tried to do. It's why I work in podcasting. It's why I work in broadcasting, because I love it. It doesn't feel like work. But I tell you what, when you aren't working in something you love and you can see other people that are, oh God, it kills you. It absolutely kills you.
Yeah, that's why I ended up, even though I'm very happy with my job and I'm really proud of my job is not what I wanted. I didn't want to be, in a managerial position in a security company. It wasn't my choice. It was a lack of options. I just had to get on with it. But I'm incredibly proud that I worked my way up to the point where, I have a really good wage working for a really good company, and I'm doing really well in that job. But it took a long time to get there. And like I said, I will use my position of, that I'm in, that I've worked so hard to get in, to now help elevate my children so they can be in my position sooner, but doing a job that they really, really want to do. Oh, I have a question for you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
It might be triggering. If it's triggering, just let me know. What is your biggest worry over the next 2-3 months? Like you're going to finish, setting aside like your actual degree and the marks.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your degree in your hand. What is your biggest worry after that?
Well, it's difficult to say because I guess being away from Sophie is definitely one of the biggest ones for me. I don't want to be away from Sophie.
You can take her. I don't need her.
Very good price.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
sorry. Go on. I am listening, Chris. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I sell you cheap.
And in a way, I'm actually very grateful that is probably my biggest worry is not being with my girlfriend. That shows what position I'm in. That I've got someone that I feel that way about. And I've worked hard on myself to get myself in a position where that's the biggest worry. And yeah, I feel very optimistic because I've got the plans that we're working towards. And I guess there's other worries. Obviously, moving back home, I've got like an entire life that I've created for myself that I feel like I'm just gonna have to put down to one side. And that's scary. But one important thing that I think you should remember if you've made it through uni, if you've moved away from home, if you've, if in any circumstance, if you've gone to uni or not, you prove to yourself that you can just start a new life, that you can just drop what you're doing, change everything, and start a completely new life. And there's going to be ups and downs in it. And there's going to be things that go right, things that go wrong. There's going to be good people, bad people, happy moments, sad moments. At the end of the day, you've created a whole new life for yourself. And there's absolutely nothing stopping you from doing that as many times as you want. It's just about putting yourself in the right position to do that. And that's what going to away from uni is. That's what, if if in your case, being kicked out, you were like, oh crap, I have to go and find a job. And then you, through hard work and determination and speaking to the right people, you've put yourself in that position, and that shows that you've created a whole new life for yourself, So I think that's one important thing to take home from uni,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I didn't have any support, because I had the support of Sylvia.
Yeah.
And okay, we were both very young.
Partnership, yeah.
But I did have Sylvia, and I supported her, so she had me as support, and that's how we have thrived. That's how we have become successful, because we've always had each other's back every step of the way, 50-50 partners, always. I completely understand that, that if I'd had to have spent like a great deal of amount of time without Sylvia, that would actually be more scary than just the future in general, especially when you two, she's been such a massive influence and positive influence in your life, and you in hers, you in all of our lives, Chris.
Thank you. Same with you guys, definitely.
Well, obviously, yeah, we're great. But no, seriously, like literally, there is not a member of our family that doesn't adore you, Chris. Like literally, I could not be happier. And if we had the space, we would make it for you. But unfortunately, we do not.
Yeah,
and that is what's killing me. I'd take him in a second, but we don't have any room.
I'd like to say, just on behalf of myself, and I'm sure the listeners as well, you are an exceptional young man, Chris. And I think the way that you speak and you carry yourself, you are a very good example of neurodivergent excellence. So, hold on to that. And, what you're both saying, I had my family, but they were 200 miles away. And I didn't have a partner that had my back. I had a partner that was on my back. And,
dude, that's scary.
It's terrifying. And, I had a lot of people telling me that I wasn't enough. And the people that really loved me were the furthest away possible. So I think, with university, I would say the understanding your ND is a huge, huge thing. But having the right people, having the right support around you shows that that is, people and love is the key ingredient to happiness and to working towards something. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today, Chris. I think, like I said, the dynamic that we've had with three perspectives has been really interesting. So I think it's is it heating up, Jordan? Is it time for this week's hot topic?
Yeah, let's have a break, and then we will heat this baby up.
Oh, hot, 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 hot.
Hot topic. And today's hot topic
Breaking
is...
news.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, Trump is tapping newly confirmed US Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy. Juliet nearly said something else. A lead commission charged with addressing autism and other health burdens. We're a burden, dude.
A burden on society, my man.
Not only did he come out with, not only did this orange face pillock.
We've run out of words, haven't we? We're running out of them. We'll find some.
Coming out, we're gonna get really creative.
We'll keep going. We'll get creative.
The orange face pillock came out with a statistic a couple of weeks ago that like 10 years ago, there was 1 in 100,000 people who are autistic in America, which isn't even remotely close to the actual number. How is anybody out there, if you're listening and you think this man is anything but a lying con artist grifter, you are so dumb. Like, he literally is just blatantly lying in his
I love how he's saying that autistic people are a burden, and he's literally stood next to Elon Musk.
Yes, literally. He's like, autistic people are a burden.
The irony of it all is
as
just
much as we hate
baffling.
Elon Musk, he is a successful man and he is autistic. And like we discussed last week, Bill Gates has just come out and go, yeah, I'm autistic. Like, literally, oh yes, we're such a burden on your finances. But he was also talking about the fact that there's too many ADHD people, and that's a burden on the medical industry. And it's like, right, but that's like saying, oh, there's too many people with cancer. We need to start getting rid of cancer.
To thin some numbers out, guys.
It's like, yeah. Why don't you spend some money on it then?
You know,
Donald
I literally
Trump,
was
instead of
listening,
stealing money from the poorest people by getting rid of their Medicare.
Yeah,
like,
I was
honestly.
literally listening to a podcast I was editing the other day where two people were discussing how during COVID, they said that people that are autistic shouldn't get vaccines compared to other people because they don't contribute to society as much as others. It's like...
Well, I hope they break both their legs in a tragic accident in which no one else is hurt.
That's the sort of thing. But the whole thing that he's going on about these, like, what is it that they call it? It's the diversity hire label. It's like DEI hire.
Oh, no, he got rid of that as well.
But that's what I mean, is what he doesn't realise, by putting Musk in charge of all these things, that is a DEI hire. He's literally doing the thing that he's said.
No, he's not in charge, remember? The White House said he's not in charge, even though it is his team and he designed it, but he's not in charge of it. Like, literally, it's the most, it's like the most ridiculous South Park or Simpsons episode, but it's actually real.
Yeah, I feel like we're living in a South Park episode now. Like, if Mr. Hankey appears on the desk, I'm like, right, that we're in. The singularity's happened. Thank God for that.
Well, a piece of shit did appear on the desk. I think that was it, called Elon Musk. But yeah, essentially, it's bad. Like, the idea of autism is literally controlled by the Center of Disease Control in America. That's a fact. Last time Trump was in charge, he put lots of money into the Center of Disease Control to combat autism. So yeah, for him, it just seems like it's a money thing. So he's like, oh, we are a burden. And I think it's not only the language he's using, it's not only the and this isn't an opinion. This is a fact. The insane lies. It is disgusting. And all it does is hurt our people. People. That's all it does. And it doesn't just hurt our people in America. It hurts our people around the world because it's Twitter and everybody's looking at it. So there'll be people in other countries that are less informed and they will literally, it reevaluates their opinion. And we are working so hard. I've been working so hard for the last 5-6 years and we are working hard. And Steve Silberman was working so hard, changing people's idea of what autism is, that it isn't just this degenerative thing that destroys families, that freaking certain charities have pushed. That it's nuances, it's a way of life, it's a behavior, it's a type of human, and we're all completely different. And here's this arsehole just smashing us to pieces because there's no way we can reach the amount of people that the president of the United States can with his best friend who owns the freaking platform and designs the algorithm. He's reaching the more people than anyone else on the planet, him and his disgusting cronies. And we are literally a fart in the wind. We are forgotten about now. And this speech will be forgotten about because it won't do anything. And I'm scared. I'm not scared for myself. I'm not scared for my family. I'm scared for my people.
You know, I have a couple of American friends. You know, I follow like the Neurodivergent Rebel on socials and things like that. And,
yeah, they're great.
You know, some of the things that they're talking about is fabulous. Lots of information's getting out there. You know, we, at this moment in time, our community, we need to put aside the terminology we're using and how we are and aren't upsetting each other. We really need to unify because, our future is at risk because there are people that don't understand us, that, we're getting down the sort of language that Steve Silverman talked about in his book with, what's the word? The word's gone in my brain now. Help me, Jordan. What did the Nazis do with purifying the blood? Help me out. It begins with E.
Oh, the
eugenics.
Eugenics, yeah.
We're getting down this sort of road now where they're going, we're getting in the eugenics sort of language, which is really sort of terrifying, especially when I think about, where I am at in my life. You're talking about where you are with Sophie, Chris. With my partner, we're buying a house. We're considering, whether in the future we want to have a family and things like that. And I am terrified that my son or daughter is going into a world where the most powerful, famous, influential person currently in the world is telling me that my children do not potentially deserve to live in this world or have rights.
It's literally what
terrifying.
Hitler was saying.
It's terrifying.
Hitler wanted to eradicate people with disabilities because he literally counted them as a burden.
Yeah, purifying the bloodline. Yeah, it's so scary.
Like, we're not a burden. We're a benefit to society. And this is proven. We're proven benefit to society. Just you and I talking, Chris talking, anyone talking about their experiences and helping others feel better, whether you're neurodivergent or not, whether you're just having a really bad day and would like to listen to somebody that has also had a bad day and maybe understands you. We're already benefiting society just by existing. Yes. How anyone could say that we are a burden and the even worse, right, is that the numpty that he's put in charge of this is an outspoken anti-vaxxer that still believes and still pushes the rhetoric, the proven factually wrong rhetoric that vaccines cause autism, which we know is not even close to the truth, that it is 100% evolutionary, it is 100% genetics, and it is 100% supposed to happen. We are supposed to exist for the diversity of human thinking. Otherwise, literally, you'd have drones walking around. But maybe that's what he wants, because that's the idiots that voted for him. And I feel sorry for a lot of these idiots, not the right-wing saluting type, but the people that are genuinely struggling. Because I went to the US and things were crazy expensive.
It's wild.
And I looked around and I was like, I would never live here. And then I went to Canada 3 months later and went, I want to move here. Canada is amazing. And I went to a really beautiful part of the US, not like deep goddamn south. I went to Oregon, which was meant to be very progressive. And all I saw was American flags, yeah. Jesus is living, God believe. And I'm like, look, you can have your opinions. You can have your, be patriotic. You can love your country. Never would take anything away from that, from anybody. But don't damage others because of what you believe. Like, literally, I'm just, it's too much for me, man. Like,
what about you, Chris? Last word for you on this one. What's your thoughts on what's going on with all of this?
Honestly, I don't really know enough about it to give an opinion, but it sounds bad.
It does, yeah.
On that note, I think that is a great point to end, because I don't like to talk about something in high detail if I don't have the details. Scary times, guys. Great. Scary times. It's scary times. And, we've done an episode talking about the future and fears for the future. And we can sit here and go, oh, am I going to get a job? Am I not going to get a job? We're starting to question whether we're even going to get rights, which is really scary.
Well, with my dying breath, I will fight for our people. And that is my fucking agenda. Anyway, I love you all as long as you don't support Trump.
Yeah. So listeners, it's been an interesting episode today. We've gone around the houses with the future and and where we're going to go. So if you're a parent that's listening to this, you've got kids that are going to university, I hope this conversation has benefited you. If you're at university and you're listening to this, put that joint down, kids, and go to your lectures. So yeah, anyway, thank you very much for listening. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
And thank you for bringing your wisdom to the conversation. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully having you back again.
That was awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
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 Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening. And until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.